As you know, all living things are made of cells. We will be looking at cells under the microscope. Inside of our cells are tiny structures that help the cell to do what it needs to do to keep us alive. Those tiny structures are called organelles. Just like in us, we have organs that keep us alive and help us survive. Inside of our cells are things called organelles that do certain things to keep the cell functioning properly. And they did not want to call these tiny things organs, because that would have been confusing. We would have confused them with like our liver, our heart, and our lungs. So inside the cell, they have called them organelles. One organelle, one of the most important organelles, is the nucleus. It's usually near the center of the cell, and this is what's going to hold our DNA. The DNA comes together to form our chromosomes, and so inside the nucleus, it's a house for our chromosomes, and our chromosomes make us who we are. So the nucleus is just a home for our chromosomes. Now I'm just going to draw a picture of what the nucleus looks like. So the nucleus is just usually the circle object near the center of the cell. Another cell part is the nuclear membrane. Well, a membrane is anything that covers something. Think of it as like saran wrap covering a cake. Well, the nuclear membrane covers the nucleus. It separates the nucleus from the rest of the cell. It actually is made up of two membranes, so it makes it extra strong. It is sometimes called the nuclear envelope because it envelops the chromosomes. These two membranes may have pores or holes that will allow material in and out of the nucleus. So think of this saran wrap actually having little tiny holes in it so that things can get in and out. So it's like a saran wrap covering our chromosomes, keeping them where they need to be, but yet things can go in and out as needed because there's these little holes in the membrane that covers the nucleus. So this whole object here is the nucleus. The covering is the actual nuclear membrane. Now, inside the nucleus itself is something called a nucleolus, and it is just a little tiny circle in the center of our nucleus. And it's going to help the nucleus do its job. It's the helper to the nucleus. Its job is to actually make ribosomes, and we're going to learn more about ribosomes later. And the ribosomes actually make the proteins for our body. Proteins, we've learned, like enzymes. They get things done. They help us stay alive. So the nucleolus is going to help make ribosomes. It's like the helper to the nucleus. And I've already mentioned chromosomes, sometimes called chromatin or chromatin. They're also found in that nucleus. They are made up of DNA. In other words, our DNA has come together to make our chromosomes. And in humans, there's 46 chromosomes. These chromosomes help to form proteins that help us grow and develop, we've already mentioned. So kind of the nucleolus is going to help the nucleus, which helps the chromosomes. We're about making proteins. Proteins are needed because there are enzymes. They get things done in our body. The chromosomes look like little worms under the microscope. So here would be the chromosomes inside our nucleus. And I would need 46 of these little squiggly lines. They almost look like worms or spaghetti sitting in the center of our cell. Now the cell itself is going to look like this, okay? And there would be the nucleus, the nucleolus, with all of those chromosomes. Remember, the nucleus is surrounded by that nuclear membrane. 2 layers to give it protection. Now, surrounding this whole cell here is a cell membrane. It separates one cell from another cell. It gives it shape. It's also very flexible. Remember, it's like saran wrap. It is selectively or semi-permeable. Not everything can go in and out of your cells. Only certain things can go in and out of cells. In other words, it's a barrier that keeps some materials in and allows other materials to pass out of the cell. So the covering to the whole cell is the cell membrane. All cells have cell membranes. Okay. Now, the next cell part, this one's only found in plants. Only in plants, and it's the cell wall. It's found on the outside of the cell membrane. It's tough, it's very rigid, it is not flexible, and it's made up of a substance called cellulose. So if here in a plant, if here's a plant cell, we have the plant, we still have the cell membrane, we still have the nucleus, we still have nucleolus, we still have chromosomes, okay? But now we need a cell wall. It is very rigid. It helps protect the plant. Cell wall, just like the wall in here in our room. It's very rigid. It's going to protect the plant. Cell wall. I'm going to go ahead and erase the diagrams I've drawn so far. Okay, our next part are centrioles. Now, centrioles are only in animal cells. They're going to help organize an organelle called the microtubules so that cell division can take place. Centrioles help your cells to divide, and that's a good thing. Let's say you cut your finger. You need to make more cells so that that cut heals itself. Okay, and the centrioles are going to help do that. So let me go ahead and draw a cell again. Okay, so here's our cell. Here's the nucleus, the nucleolus. We have our chromosomes. Centrioles, there's going to usually be 2 of them. Okay, and they hang out near the nucleus. They kind of look like Twizzlers or little nibs. And there's always 2 of them hanging out near the nucleus. Centrioles help your cells to divide to make more of themselves. Lysosomes. Mainly in animal cells, but may be found in some other cells. These are a membrane-filled sac full of chemicals and enzymes that help break down substances. They are the cleaning crew of your cell. If you have a bacteria or a virus that's not supposed to be there, your body will grab a hold of it and give it to the lysosome. The lysosome cleans it up, spits it out, so it's gone. Or if there's malfunctioning of a certain part, it will clean it up, get rid of it, etc. So the lysosomes are the cleaning crews for your cells. And they are usually just circular dots. So I'll just add some lysosomes. And they're usually dark in color because, think about it, they're cleaning up icky stuff, dirt. And my clue for lysosome, think of Lysol. Okay? Think of Lysol. So we have our lysosomes, just little tiny circles filled with chemicals and enzymes, getting rid of icky stuff in our cell. Another cell part found in our cells is something called a vacuole, and the vacuole is filled with water and salts, and it's going to help give support to the cells. The vacuoles in plants are very, very large compared to in animals. We don't need as much support for our cells because we have a skeletal system. Plants do not have a skeletal system. So they're going to need that extra support to keep their shape. So think about it. You don't water your plant for a week, it may look droopy. That's because the vacuole lost its water, okay? And so then it kind of drooped. You water your plant, the vacuole fills up with water again, and your plant looks just fine. We do have vacuoles that fill with water just to give ourselves that little extra support. Remember, we are 70% water, and that water has to be housed someplace. And it'll be in the cytoplasm, but also in the vacuole. And it just kind of looks like in a plant cell, it's going to look like a swimming pool. And us, it's just like a circular area that looks kind of like a blob in the middle of our cell. I'm going to go ahead and draw a new cell, since the one I drew is kind of getting filled with parts already, and it would be hard to see. So we have a cell, we have the nucleus, we have some lysosomes, here would be a vacuole, okay? And I can fill it to make it look blue. Okay, there's our vacuole. It's filled with water, giving us support. So vacuole, maybe a clue you could think of would be, think of like a shop vac full of water. Shop vacs can fill up with water. Okay, so think of a shop vac full of water. Shop vac, vacuole, filled with water. Shop vac filled with water. Okay, I think that's where we'll end. Today I'll do a quick review. An organelle is any of these parts I've been talking about. They're a tiny structure inside your cell that do a certain job. The nucleus is usually near the center. It's circular in shape. It's covered by the nuclear membrane. The nucleus houses the chromosomes and nucleolus. The membrane is 2 layers thick, filled with pores so that things can get in and out of the nucleus. Okay. The nucleolus, which is found in that nucleus, helps the nucleus. It's the helper to the nucleus. It's going to help make ribosomes, which later on will help make proteins. The chromosomes, as you know, are made of your DNA. DNA makes protein. Proteins are enzymes. Enzymes are job doers, getting all that stuff done in our body to keep us alive and making us who we are. Your whole cell, every cell in your body has a membrane around it to kind of protect it. It's flexible. It's just a barrier to let things in and out. Its job is to let things in and out. Now, if we would have a plant, we'd be able to see a cell wall. It is very rigid. It gives extra protections to plants. Plants do not have a skeletal system. They need all this protection and support they can get. So they have a cell wall. Centrioles help in cell division, help to make more of us. Lysosomes, like Lysol, clean us up, help keep our cells clean. And the vacuole is filled with water, very large in a plant because, again, they don't have a skeletal system, and a little smaller in us so that, has a place for our water to be stored. You can go to cellsalive.com and to get much better pictures of these items than what I can draw for you.